Hello, my name is Samantha Gibson. I'm an AmeriCorps Vista, newly working at Health Commons, and here today to do this oral history. Could you please introduce yourself for the recording?
My name is Mercedes Ramsey, and I live downtown
Thank you
Minneapolis.
Thank you for joining me today for the oral history project. Before we begin, I just want to confirm that you consented to being interviewed and having that interview recording stored at Augsburg, which will make it available to the public.
Okay.
I also would like to note for the recording that we are at Health Commons right now, so there may be some background noise as people are walking through. Exactly. To get us started, could you tell me a little bit about where you grew up and who you called family?
I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, raised by my father, who was born in Mexico City. I have 5 brothers, no sisters. Went to school, grade school, junior high, high school. Did a little college for data entry for 2 years. Basically, I call my family my dad and my brothers.
Okay. When you went to school, were you still in Michigan?
Yeah.
Okay. And
how old was I?
Well, when did you come to Minnesota?
I came to Minnesota 1983. I was on my way, to make it short, my story. I was on my way to San Francisco, California. My dad started a greenhouse landscaping business. So he sold the house and everything. My brothers and him flew. At that time, I was not getting on no plane. So I took the Greyhound. Well, the bus had to stop here for 2 hours. Something was wrong with the bus, so they had to switch buses. So me, being nosy and curious, I noticed you guys had skyways. At that time, I called it a tunnel. So I got curious, and I ended up all the way down by the main post office here in Minneapolis. And I got lost. Fortunately, I ran into an elder couple because they have different high-rises apartments near the post office. So I asked them how to get back to the Greyhound bus station. And I got back there and missed my bus. I had to call my dad. Of course, he hollered at me in Spanish, asking me, why you always be doing this? Why? So he sent me some money for, at that time, where the Greyhound bus station is now, is where the old one used to be. And across the street was the Best Western Motel. So I went over there, and he sent money over there. I stayed there for about a week. Of course, he kept calling me, asking me when I was going to come to San Francisco. Well, I got to where I had applied for a housekeeping job at Best Western. One of the housekeepers told me about it because I told her about my situation. So, and then she told me where the new jail is downtown used to be the old welfare building. So I went down there, and I spent from the time they opened till at least 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon trying to get help. Eventually, they gave me a county voucher to go to the Drake Hotel, which used to house chronic alcoholic men, and then one side was a shelter for men and women and a few families. So, did all that and got my first apartment on 27th and Garfield. At that time, my apartment was a 1-bedroom, paid $500 a month, plus utilities. It got to a point where I was working different temps like Masterson, Atlas Staffing, different ones within Minneapolis. I got a permanent job at Old Dutch Potato Chips. Then it went to Target Warehouse out in Fridley. Let's see. got into a relationship with somebody. It didn't work out too well, so I more ventured and stayed in at the Simpsons. We had to go down there, and at that time they only let a few women stay. Went down there on Mondays, did a lottery. They called your name like bingo, and you got a bed. They gave you a mat, blanket, pillow, sheets. Um, at that time, they didn't have the women's shelter. So I did what I did, living, working, struggling at times, um, and it got to a point where I was using marijuana. I was drinking alcohol. I was that first 3 years I was sniffing cocaine. It got to a real bad habit, and I think what I just more went cold turkey with cocaine. Um, and then during that time from 83 to I say about 90, I went back and forth to home. I finally eventually made it to San Francisco. My dad wanted me to stay there, but they didn't have much resources like they do here in Minnesota. Any other state I stayed, like California, Texas, New York, Florida, Michigan, basically helps families that have children. Very few resources for single people. The last time I came back was in 96. I left in 91, about 91, 92. Um, I was pregnant. My daughter's dad is from here. Um, Went back home, did my pregnancy. My daughter was born in 93. Um, as she got older, um, I'd say about 6, 7, um, I asked if she wanted to come with me back to Minnesota. At that time, my dad taught her Spanish, everything. Um, she grew up not how kids, always eat fast food, and she, he wouldn't give her that. So as she got older, she was vegetarian. Okay, I came back here, like I said, because of the different resources and that. Eventually, my son came here because of the fact that he wasn't getting along with his stepmom. So he came here. He started school over north, but him being 15, he was already 6 foot. So I had problems with parents and children over North High because of the fact that him being so hot, being so tall, excuse me, and more like solid chest. They thought he was a grown man. So there was a few students would pick on him and cause a fight. So I asked my welfare worker, because at that time I got on welfare, but this was before the EBT card came out. No, it just came out. So she suggested with him, I started him at Southwest High here in Minneapolis. And they had a life skills program. I don't know if they still have that there now, but it helped him get into doing working skills. The group would go to different parks within the city, redo them, remodel them and stuff. It got to where he got a little job at the VA, and he liked that because he was helping the elders, and he liked hearing the stories from the elder men. It got to a point where he hanging out with the wrong type of boys. He got in trouble when Mall America first opened. Him and his little group of friends took the express bus out there. Excuse me. instead of trying to ride the bus back, someone dared him to hotwire an expedition. So he did it, trying to show his, friends that, I'm not scared. I'll do, whatever. Well, at that time, I'm working 12-hour shifts at a temp service. So I get this call. Yes, this is Hennepin County Sheriff's Department. We have your son here at the juvenile detention center. I said, put him on the phone. He's like, you're going to come and get me? I said, no, I'm at work. And, excuse my French, who the hell told you to steal a truck? Oh, they dared me. So if they dared you to jump off the Hennepin Bridge into the Mississippi, would you do it? He didn't say nothing. All he kept saying is, you're going to come and get me. And I told him, no. You did the crime, now you're going to do the time. So, of course, he called me all kinds of names. I'm not a good mom. Moms wouldn't leave their sons in jail. And I hung up. Of course, the sheriff department called me back and said that I could come and get him in the morning. Sorry. Should have turned it off. So, of course, I had to go to family court and all that. In 99, I sent him back home because his dad needed to be more with his dad. And then him being growing like a weed, he would disrespect me at times. So it got to a point that I sent him back home. I went on with my life, did what I did, working, staying at Simpson's Women's Shelter, which they opened over on 11th and 19th off of Franklin behind the bakery that's on Franklin now. After 5 o'clock, it would become the shelter for the women in the church, which is called Community Emergency Services. So I stayed there off and on. Got into a relationship again. It didn't work. It got to a point where, I reached in my early 40s, and it came to a point then in my life, I need to stop drinking. I need to stop doing the things I was doing. I had an apartment over on 27th and Columbus Avenue, not too far from Abbott Hospital. I got put in the hospital because I got an infection on my left arm real bad, and being diabetic, the infection set real close. I had been drinking, bumped my elbow on the corner of my glass table, and a couple days later, my housing advocate came to visit me, and she's like, Mercedes, what's wrong with your arm? And here that infection kept going up, and with my heart murmur, she took me to Hennepin County emergency room, and they took me right into the surgery room. I had 5 surgeries on my left arm because the infection was so bad that they had to put a blood vac to try to pull it out, but that wasn't working as fast as they wanted it to. So they put me in this chamber-looking thing. I had to wear this mask. You know how airplanes, they go way up and they have to wear that mask? Well, my first try, she said, just be calm, relax. I could put some music on for you. I said, no, that's fine. She put that mask over my face and she's like, now, just breathe normal. She said, you'll feel the air kind of getting lighter and lighter. And when that was happening, I just like panic, and I'm like, I can't breathe. She's like, calm down. You can't get hysterical like this. They had to sedate me so they could get that infection out. Or other than that, they would have had a problem with me all the time. It got to a point my housing advocate was worried about my safety where I was at. Um, I had just went to a excuse me. I had just went to a Social Security hearing because my disability is I have rheumatoid and osteoporosis real bad in my legs, my arms, and my lower back. So went to the hearing. I kept getting up, and the judge kept saying, Miss Ramsey, what's wrong? And I said, I can't sit too long. I got to get up and move. I said, or else I just have this pain. So he told the little recorder, record that, Miss Ramsey's getting up, walking around, blah, blah, blah. So, of course, the Social Security guy that tries looking a job that's more suitable for your needs and that, he told the judge, well, she can't sit no more than longer than 15, 20 minutes or stand that long, or even on an 8-hour job because she's so used to working light industrial, it's going to be hard for her. So the judge says, well, Miss Ramsey, is there like a desk job you can do? And the guy goes, well, then she's still going to have to get up and walk around and stuff, So it came to the point, 2 weeks later, not even 2 weeks, I got accepted for my disability. In the meantime, a housing advocate's looking for something more safe for me. And she came upon one of Aon's property. Aon is a housing service here within Minneapolis. And they have properties in Chaska, Tanahas, and all within St. Paul, Minneapolis suburbs. Well, got in, she's telling me about the Continental. And I was like, well, let's go over there. So the management at the time showed me a unit and, the common areas, things like that. And got to a point. I moved in February 3rd, 2011, and I'm still there. I went through a real hard thing at the beginning of my year because I had one big, one big drinking episode. It got to a point that I don't even remember how I got in my unit or what happened. All I know is management came to my room and said that if I don't stop my drinking, I'm jeopardizing my housing. So I went cold turkey that whole year. It was hard because till this day I still see the people that I drink and they're suffering out there. I've had 3 associates, can't really say friends because I just would see them around Minneapolis, die, froze. But since the Continental, I've been to 3 Neighbor Works of America leadership conferences. I'm a participant resident of our resident planning committee, where we get like different activities within the residents in the building. We went through construction not too long ago. So everybody has their own little kitchen area, 2 electric stoves, one of them convention ovens, the little tiny little ovens, and it came with a cart. What else? And of course, you got some that dislike me and some like me. There's some that I guess kind of, how can you say, jealous because of the fact that I'm doing good within my life and doing stuff within the community and that. And it's just, people that want to see you down like them, but also you want to build yourself and be better instead of, being out here in the city here, no housing, on drugs, things like that. Well, it got to a point where my health and my housing is more important than any alcohol or anything else. So, like I said, I've been there since 2011, and I'm in the verge of moving. With all the new residents in our building, and the county started this GRH. It's a group residential housing, and we got a lot of new ones, and don't want to obey the rules, and sneaking people in, and drinking, and smoking, and back here in January, early January, Maryland Apartments who are also owned by Aon. I signed up for a 1-bedroom on their waiting list. I was number 9 a couple months ago. Now I'm number 4. And then just last week, management called me and told me I'm next of moving out. So God is good. I am thankful for him. I may not had him in my life like he wants me to, but it came to a point that he's the only man in my life that provides with my housing, clothes on my back, food in my tummy, and safety. And I thank him every morning when I wake up. And I'm not trying to tear her up, but that's a little part of my life.
Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
You've mentioned coming a really long way and how involved you are now. That's really amazing. And you mentioned all the resources that are available in Minnesota that help you make things work.
Yeah.
How does Health Commons fit into that? Do you remember how you found out about Health Commons? Your first time coming?
Health Commons. Well, I used to come to the church in the 80s when they had their clothing room. And it used to be in the old church, which is now part torn down. They used to have it in the lower auditorium. Huge, big room. And one of my elder friends, can I say her name? Well, anyways, one of my elder friends, Joyce, she told me about Health Commons and how on Thursdays they were doing women's group. And she's like, yeah, we have little snacks and do little activities and blah, blah, blah. She's like, you should come. I was like, well, ain't it for elder ladies? She said, no, any age you can come. So I went one time, and Katie and 2 other ladies from Augsburg were there. They're more up age ladies. I enjoyed it. We did a little writing. We did charades. And we did other little games. But it got to a point because the women's group was in the Health Commons area, and the guys would come in there, and we'd have to say, no, this is only for women. And of course, you get some men like, why all the women get to do stuff? But I enjoyed Thursdays. had liked to come. We, the 2 ladies that were running it, we got to a point. They took a picture of the group. Unfortunately, I wasn't there. I was sick at the time. But I mean, every Thursday, I was like, oh, I can't wait till Thursday. Go there, meet people, do little activity. I even got to the point when I was go to the clothing line first and then go to a women's group. I would see different women and say, hey, we got a women's group over here, and la la la. And some would come at course and, stay for a while and then leave. But we had a real nice group at one time. I think it's because the ladies that were hosting it, some found out that they had tokens. So, of course, they'd come and say, oh, I need a token for this, and la, la, la. And then they'd leave, and then you wouldn't see them for a while. It got to where the 2 ladies that would run it, Joyce would take over, set up, put out the snacks, make coffee, things like that. So I enjoyed that. But Health Commons, I went in there and grabbed me a hygiene kit. And, uh, what was it? Times I would go in there for cough drops or, you know, underclothing, socks, and I liked I liked it. There was one year they did their 20th anniversary, and I did a video for them. Well, me and two other people on how we came about with Health Commons, and I told them that if it wasn't for them, I think the homeless population that's out here now, I don't think, because some don't may not have insurance, some do, but don't want to sit in a waiting room all day or clinic, so they could come to the Health Commons and get their feet soaked, uh, get hygiene stuff, get things that they need, and give Katie a hug, and Martha pass out candy, and so Health Commons is good for within the downtown Minneapolis area.
So like you're mentioning now, how Health Commons might compare to other clinics, and like you mentioned before, your experience having to be in the hospital and get multiple surgeries. Can you tell me about how the nursing care you receive at Health Commons compares to care you get elsewhere?
Well, Health Commons, it's not like you would go to your regular clinic. You can't go to your regular clinic and get a hygiene kit or socks or undergarments or little basic things like cough drops or vitamins or something. Um, Katie and her crew don't pass out, narcotic drugs or anything like that. They also help the women who have children with the diapers, the baby wipes. Maybe sometimes the little ones will get socks too, or training panties and things like that. So, um, like I said, your primary clinic, it won't do that. Maybe sometimes you'll get a cup of coffee or something.
Are the things that initially brought you to Health Commons what keeps you coming now?
Yeah, and well, due to construction, we're stuck out here in a trailer. But I think if we were in our eventually get to our new spot, we'll have more room. And like I said, I like coming because, you know, Katie, Martha, all of them. I like to meet the new nurses who come and volunteer, um, and just see the faces that come up in here and, grab things that they need: coats, pants, t-shirts, dresses, household items. I believe if you get into a new place, you can bring your lease, and they'll help you with the welcome basket, with cleaning stuff. Maybe they'll at times have the brooms and mops, but you get a welcome basket.
Do you have any other hopes for the new space?
Um, I would say, I know once it's done, it's going to have more people coming in because we'll have more room, and everything will be on one floor. You won't have to go down in the basement and things like that. So I'm looking forward to the new church.
Is there anything else that could be done better at Health Commons?
um, Maybe once they get into the new church and that, um, just make it more welcoming. And why I say that is, there's a lot of new people coming in the cities, and some don't even know about the Health Commons. So when people come in and that, be greeted and let them know this is being served here and you can get this, and um, if they don't have it they can refer you to another place. I also would like to see, since we're out here in the trailer and we have a resource room, I also like to see that resource room be there too.
What challenges do you think people in the community encounter when they're trying to get health care?
I think it's because insurance, and some can get it, others can't, but I think once you get that insurance and that, you should be able to have the opportunity to get your whatever you need, teeth done, eyes, glide glasses, take care of your health and that. Um, because we don't know how long we'll have this Minnesota health or whatever. Thanks to your lovely president.
Is there anything you think nurses should know when taking care of people who may be experiencing homelessness or who are marginally housed?
That's kind of hard because when they come, you don't know who's homeless or who has a house and that. Um, I know Katie and them used to talk to people, ask them, are you in a shelter? Do you have a home? Things like that. But I think all of us go through some type of challenge of waking up, facing a new day, deciding, oh, what am I going to do today? Do I go to Central Lutheran and have lunch and grab me some goodies, or somebody out there looking for a job or housing? But it's a struggle every day.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about that I didn't ask?
No.
Any final comments about Health Commons?
That I hope that when I turn 80, 90 years old, you guys are still here. Oh, and I forgot. Foot soaks. Everybody, well, I can't talk. I should listen to my own advice. I love the foot soaks, the way they take care of your feet and that. And I'd like to see more of that. Maybe one area